Alright guys, today I'll be reviewing Freak at the Peak. This is the very unique haunt event that the Greek Peak mountain coaster has. It's just all sorts of bizarre, and I'm going to get into everything about it in this review. So obviously, the normal Greek Peak mountain coaster is a pretty common experience. You can just go here anytime, ride it during the day or whatever, even in the winter. But for a few days during the Halloween season, they add scare actors to the lift hill and in the queue. And this is going to be a bit of a shorter review just because, obviously, we know what the mountain coaster does. It's a very basic mountain coaster. There's no airtime on this one in particular. There's some good laterals, so I do like that. And at night in particular, it's really good. They do, unfortunately, put lights out there, but I totally get that because it's a mountain coaster. You gotta see the person in front of you. So overall, the coaster itself is pretty good, but this is mainly going to focus on the haunt portion. The first thing you'll need to know is it's $18, and you cannot buy that at the gate. You have to get it online. And if you do pull up without a ticket ahead of time, then they're going to tell you to do it online. And this is a very annoying process. But once you finally get it, they'll give you a diagnosis because this is an insane asylum. And most of it does not feel insane. There's pretty much nothing about this that feels insane, but you start off by going over a brief presentation led by the doctor himself about how to control the cart and everything, don't touch the actors, the basic stuff. So after that, you'll wait like 5 minutes, and the main actor, who's like this doctor that takes care of all the patients, opens the door and you enter the queue line. And oh my god, this queue moves egregiously slow. And I get that it's a mountain coaster, you have to space people out. But still, I was shocked that this many people showed up. I should have expected it from the crowds at all the parks and haunts that I seen earlier in the day. But still, I did not think I'd have to wait 45 minutes for this. I was considering getting like 3 tickets or something just to do it more than once, but oh my god, I would not have time to do this more than once. And the queue itself is pretty okay, to say it nicely. It's just a bunch of curtains held up with blood on them. And the actors that go in through this queue and interact with you through this queue are just, they feel like high school kids who had nothing better to do that night. And that's fine given that they're not really charging an obscene amount. But still, I don't know. These actors, one in particular, was kind of just running around yelling, and she was just more comedic than scary, if anything. And that's sort of the vibe I get from all of these actors, is they're just more comedic than actually scary. So I think if they advertised this as more of like a funny haunt, then that would do a lot better, because I really don't know who these actors were scaring. I don't know how these actors would scare someone. Because, yeah, they were just kind of yelling at each other. And I get that's the whole point of an insane asylum, but the way they were doing it was not it. You can take a look at Fright World even, and they're a good haunt, but they're not the top of the line. They did Asylum so well last year. It was definitely the best haunt that Fright World had, really in its history, in my opinion. Because, oh my god, those actors were wild. These guys should just take a trip there and take a look at what they did. There's some cool lighting in there and everything, but overall, it's a very annoying waiting experience. Now, given, obviously, I'd rather wait 45 minutes throughout this than just a pretty bare bones queue line, but still, it definitely had more potential. Now, once you actually get into the coaster, you're going to start up the lift hill. And what's disappointing is the first half of this really doesn't have anything, and all the scares come in the second half. So I was wondering if, some mistake sort of happened online, and there were only actors in the queue line. But lo and behold, there were actually actors on the mountain, and now I'll get into some spoilers, so just skip ahead a couple minutes if you don't want to hear. The first scare that they attempted to get me with was just this guy coming out of the woods, and he's behind this tunnel sort of, because there's a bunch of tunnels on this lift hill. So it's a good idea to use those in theory, but the way they execute it just isn't right. He just comes out and kind of says, and like tries to scare you like that, which it just doesn't work. Maybe it works for like a little kid or something, but if you're over the age of 10 or have been to one haunt in your life, like you should not actually jump because of that. The third actor in particular, oh my god. Maybe I just caught it on a bad cycle. But wow, he just stood there and I could see him from miles away. Not obviously not miles away, but you know what I mean. Like I could see him for a long time. And he just stood there, sort of like he was an animatronic or something. And the way he acted was definitely animatronic, like when he just sort of activated, I guess, if you want to call it that. When I got close to him and he's like, "Oh, help me, I'm dying in here," like, and just was not convincing one bit. I mean, yeah, that was bad. And the last scare was supposed to be a double team of these two guys hiding behind the last tunnel and trying to jump out and get you. But unfortunately, I saw the one guy walking into position before it was time to scare me, which, oh, that was really sad, because I do think it's a good idea, especially having the two people there, so you're kind of surprised on both sides. But again, you can't do that. You can't walk and reveal your spot. That's just basic haunting skills. You cannot do that. Now, I said the first, the third, and the last. I did not mention the second, because I wanted to save that for last. Oh my god, this second scare was the highlight of everything this night. This second scare was, maybe it was just me going in with the wrong expectations, but the way they did this second scare, it didn't seem like it should have been legal. But I loved it. Like, if it was allowed, then great. It was amazing. Because what this guy did, I don't think this should be illegal in America because he could die from this. But what he did was went under the track. All right, he was hiding under the coaster track, which I didn't consider to be a possibility because I just thought they'd say, okay, that's definitely not allowed, hiding under a track with wheels that can run you over. And then, like, grabs the track and jumps out, like, right before I'm gonna run over that spot, and just pops out under the track. And, like, I could not see him. It was dark, obviously. He was blended in. And he wasn't even, like, that good of an actor. But just the sheer surprise that he just jumped out under the track. Like, he didn't jump through it. He, like, came out and around the track. Like, just the sheer shock of not expecting that to happen. Like, that was a good scare. That was high quality there. But that was about it. That was about all the scares that you're actually going to get. So overall, Freak at the Peak is something you try if you're on the way to something else. You don't go out of your way for it. You could go out of your way for it in theory if you're close like me, but I was on the way back from something else, so it just worked out. But I definitely wouldn't travel like 2 hours to go see it, because the haunt portion itself really isn't that impressive, and the coaster itself you could do anytime. So overall, for Freak at the Peak's final score, I'm giving it a 3 out of 10. All 3 of those were really just for that one scare, because the rest was pretty sad to watch. But overall as a coaster, it's probably like a 6 out of 10. You know, it's fine. It's a good alpine coaster, I guess. It's about on par with like Holiday Valleys and Smoky Mountain alpine coasters, you know, the basic ones. Definitely not Cliffside Coaster. But this is definitely not an event you should seek out. If you have a better time to go to this alpine coaster and get the +1, then go during that better time for you, because this really isn't an event that you need to experience. So let me know what you guys think of Freak at the Peak down in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.